Okay, round 11 of the NRL season has just concluded. What a very interesting weekend of fixtures and some very interesting scorelines. Some teams are really in good form right now, some other teams are in free fall, and some teams are very inconsistent. But what we've seen so far this season is that anyone can beat anyone, and I do really mean that. The results speak for themselves. The Knights Eels was the opening game of the weekend, 28 points to 6 to the Eels over the Knights. So the Eels showing some fight. Best performance of the season for the Eels. There's things to build on. They're still not a top 8 side. I mean, the Eels will, just scrap in the bottom 8, bottom 9 places. They want to avoid the wooden spoon. They're doing a very good job of showing some fight. The Knights, however, are in complete and utter freefall. Their season's rapidly unravelling, and Adam O'Brien, I don't think is long for the head coaching job there. I think he will not see out the season. He may not even see out the origin period. In my opinion, the Knights are in free fall. They've got the worst attack in the league, and they couldn't even take advantage of the worst defence in the league in the Eels. That's just where they are right now. The Eels are showing more fight. They are improving. It's a rebuilding season for the Eels. It's still going to be a long season for Eels fans. They're not making the top 8, but they're showing some fight. And that's what you want to see as a fan. If your team is not very good, at least show some effort. They're showing some effort. They're fighting. They're scrapping. And that's a good result for the Eels. That's a good confidence-boosting result for the Eels as well. The Knights, serious trouble. Bulldogs still the top dogs, no pun intended. Not playing well at the moment. They are missing some key players. They had to scrap to win over the Roosters. But I will say this about the Roosters. Mark Nwangani-Tawase, what a pickup he is from rugby union. I know he played his junior rugby league, but he hasn't played league for a long time. This is his first full season as a first-grade player. He did have a little taster at the end of last season, but what a pickup he has been. He can play centre, he can play wing, he could probably play fullback given enough time and another full pre-season with the Roosters. My God, he's one of the Roosters' best players this season. 2 tries, one of them is possibly the try of the season. That little chip and chase he did, that little kick through, how he's got that down is fantastic. You need a bit of luck sometimes. But yeah, there was a mistake in there that led to Burton's game-winning try. But the Roosters pushed the Bulldogs all the way in 80 minutes. Now, the sign of a good side is winning when not playing well. And that's the Bulldogs in the last couple of weeks. They've had a few wobbly performances, a few weak first halves. They've started a bit slowly. They are missing some key players, but the fact they are still winning when short of key players in key positions is fantastic. The Bulldogs are the real deal. Let's not kid ourselves. Cameron Serrano is working magic at the Bulldogs. The Roosters, after their early season wobble and their poor start, especially against the Broncos, they've shown some fight in the last month and a half. They really are, contenders for the top 8. I think they are also rebuilding a little bit this season. It'll be interesting to see if Dom Young does actually get released. Obviously, Brandon Smith has now gone to the Bunnies, and when he's fully fit, he'll start there. There's a little bit of roster turnover, but the performances from the Roosters, you're seeing the effort there, and that's the important thing. Much like the Eels, the effort is there after a poor start to the season. They're fighting their way back. So the Roosters are always entertaining. Mark Nwangani-Tawase, I will get his name right, I think is going to be a star player in this league. He's proven himself as an Australian Test international with rugby union. It's going to be interesting whether he chooses Italy, Fiji or Australia for his rep international rugby league. And let's see if he's available for New South Wales, because there are some injuries right now to some centres and wingers that are eligible for New South Wales. He could be that wild card. Just throw him in there. He's great fun to watch, and it's a great pick-up by the Roosters. The Dolphins-Warriors. The Warriors win 16 points to 12. Dolphins a little bit concerned about their consistency and some injury concerns for the Dolphins. The Warriors, much like the Bulldogs, they're having to scrap for some wins, but guess what? They're still winning. And that is, again, a sign of a really good team. Their game management could be better. I think the game management of the Warriors could be a lot better. They're allowing sides back into games when they really should put them to bed. But I'm liking this Warriors side. Years past, they would have lost that game. They're now winning the scrappy games where last season they lost them, or the season before last they would have lost them. Even though 2 years ago they were really, really good and were in the top 8, previous seasons, scrappy games like this or close games like this, they would have lost. This is a sign of a maturing team. And Andrew Webster's doing a very, very good job in New Zealand with the Warriors. The Dolphins, I have some concerns about them a little bit. This was meant to be like their kick-on season. They've shown some progression, and they're not really progressing. They are a mid-table side. At the moment, they are a mid-table side. Now, yes, the cut-off point is still 6 weeks away. They can still potentially sign a player or promote a player from reserve grade. They need to change something because they're not taking that next step. They are a solid side. They've got some attack in them. They can score points, but lately they're wobbling again. So they've had a little purple patch. They're going through a little bit of a lean spell. Inconsistency is frustrating with the Dolphins. The Cowboys Sea Eagles. The Sea Eagles arrest a recent slide in form. They win 24 points to 6 over the Cowboys. Change in formation for the Cowboys. Very interesting. Purdy's been moved into the halves. Clifford's been dropped. And Labour is back in the centres. And this is a formation conundrum and selection conundrum for Todd Payton because Purdue is a halfback as preferred position. Dearden's moved from the 6 to the 7 role. Labour, he is a specialist centre. Purdue was playing in his role while Labour was not fully fit. He's decided to drop Clifford from the side. It didn't work. It will work in time, given enough practice with those new combinations. But that sudden change, an inexperienced player in the halves and another player who hasn't played for over a year due to injury coming back into the side against the Sea Eagles. The Sea Eagles have points in them, as proven. The concern for the Sea Eagles is Jake Tavoyevic's rather nasty concussion, which is also a concern for the Blues, for New South Wales. It'll be interesting to see how he recovers from that, because that was a bad head knock, and he's had a few. He was out before he hit the ground. Nothing malicious in the play, just a bad, caught an elbow and a shoulder, making a tackle and knocked himself out before he hits the ground. It was nasty looking. He did require some lengthy treatment. He didn't look great going off the field. He didn't look great sitting on the bench watching the second half either. So that's a concern for the Seagulls. Is one of their drivers and leaders in that dressing room is going to be out for a minimum of 11 days, potentially longer. We've seen some players have lengthier concussion layoffs, so that's a bit of a concern coming out of that game. And Tom Trbojevic doesn't look 100% right either. He hasn't looked right for the entirety of the season. He's just not 100%. He's clearly struggling with that knee injury, although it's a minor knee injury. He looks a bit hobbled, and that's another concern, not only for the Sea Eagles, but also for the New South Wales. But a good result for the Sea Eagles. Their recent form has been a bit of a concern after a bright start to the season. We know they can score points. The Sharks Storm of 31 points to 26 to the Sharks. This was a litmus test for both sides. The Sharks came out on top. This is a fierce rivalry. These two sides do not like each other. They haven't liked each other since the mid-2000s. Again, litmus test, and the Sharks won the litmus test. The Storm have been a bit inconsistent over the last month. They win one, they lose one, they win one, they lose one. And it was a close game. Years past, the Storm win that. But the pre-season favourites for the minor premiership and the grand final and the overall premiership have shown some inconsistency and some vulnerability. The Sharks are slowly building. In fact, they're not just slowly building, they are building. Now, there are some injury concerns coming out of the game for the Sharks. Jesse Ramian went off, and so did Stone Street. So their right side of the outside backs is going to be a concern going forward, and that is a worry. Stone Street and Ramian have built a very good combination to start this season, and that looked like I think it's a minor injury for Ramian, but Stone Street, that ankle looked quite nasty. I've done a similar injury myself when I played rugby union back in the day. It's not pleasant. He's lucky he didn't break his ankle. His foot got caught in the ground and it twisted really awkwardly. So some injury concerns for the Sharks going forward, but they beat the Storm, and then they were down to 15 players on their rotation. So that takes some doing. The Storm, last week they put over 60 points on the Tigers. I think it was 64 points on the Tigers, record-breaking win. This week they can see 31. The Storm are becoming a bit inconsistent, which is a bit worrying if you're a Storm fan. They're not looking completely invincible. So that's their form guide is one to watch. They are being a little bit inconsistent. The Sharks are building quite nicely. The Broncos Dragons. Liddell's try is brilliant, but the Broncos, Ezra Mann back in the side and was roundly booed. he was booed regularly whenever he was near or on the ball. They lose 30 points to 26 to the Dragons at home. The Dragons have been losing close games like this all season. These are two mid-table sides that are inconsistent, although the Broncos, their form at the moment is worrying considering their strong start to the season. And there's concerns of player unrest with Michael Maguire and, Tupu is, Marty Tapau, Tupanu, has liked an Instagram post, and now there's rumours that they want to ship him out of the club and get rid of him. Yeah, Ezra Mam. There's a lot of things online. I don't think it's a happy dressing room. Liddell's try, though, is brilliant. It's a brilliant try, and that swung the momentum, and the Dragons then, go on to win. Broncos really fumbled that one. Their game management's all over the place at the moment, and Ezra Mam, it's an interesting one. I don't think he's been warmly accepted back into the playing fold by a lot of fans. Not just the away fans of every other side, but also Broncos fans. He was booed quite a bit in that game. So there's definitely fan unrest as well. Broncos form is very concerning. The Dragons, underwhelming so far this season, inconsistent, but they beat the Storm, they beat the Broncos. These are sides that are meant to be much stronger than them, but then they're losing to sides around them. So the Dragons are an enigma. They are frustrating, but they get a result in a close game, which will do their confidence a world of good. I think it will. It's just about building and getting some consecutive wins together, which they've failed to do this season. The Raiders-Titans, 40 points to 24 to the Raiders. Some concerning signs of the Raiders defensively in recent weeks, and as a Raiders fan, I will say that. But as a young team and a team in transition, they're doing really well this season. Overall, look where they are on the ladder. The Titans, we know they can score points. Defensively, they are a mess. It was good, to see, the Titans show some fight. But at the same time, that second half, they fell apart a little bit. They were in the fight in the first half. Second half, it started to get away from them. And they're one of those sides, like they're a confidence side. They're like the Broncos. When they're doing well, you can see that they've got points in them. But when things start turning against them, they just fall apart. And yeah, it fell apart from a little bit. But, they are exciting to watch. As a neutral, when the Titans are playing, there's going to be points. Unfortunately, a lot of the points were going the wrong way. The Raiders bounced back after a poor defeat against the Bulldogs at home. But they're still, for me, the Raiders are still conceding too many points. They were doing better defensively earlier in the season. That defence is starting to become a little bit leaky at the moment. But a lot of teams are struggling defensively at the moment. No one team has really got their defence on top, and every team I think is conceding over 20 points at this point in time on average. So attack is beating defence this season. So we're seeing a lot of really fun scoring games. Final game of the weekend was the Tigers Bunnies up at Campbelltown. The Bunnies have won 22 points to 12. This was a grinding game. It was a scrappy game. This is two sides who are mid-table. They're very evenly matched, in my opinion. Aki Coruscant had a brilliant game for the Tigers, scoring both their tries. The Bunnies, one of Latrell Mitchell's better games at fullback. The weather, I think, made this game a bit stodgy. It was a bit of a scrappy game, but you can see the energy and the effort was there from both sides, which again, when your teams aren't playing well, the Bunnies haven't been playing well in the last month or so. They've now got back-to-back wins, which is good, but their form was a bit concerning. You can see the efforts there from both sets of players, and these are two sides that are sort of in rebuilding seasons, although the Tigers have been rebuilding for the best part of a decade. You can see there's definitely improvement on last year for both teams. They're much better teams this season than last season. And that was a decent response from the Tigers after their bashing by the Storm last weekend. They showed more fight, but they still look a little bit clunky in attack. And I think discipline is hurting them a little bit as well. You can see they're a much fitter side than they have been in recent seasons, so the fitness has improved. That attack is still a little bit clunky. The Bunnies, Wayne Bennett, I think, is getting the most out of this squad of players. I still think that bottom of the top 8 is their ceiling at best. I can't see them making the top 4. They're too inconsistent at the moment, and they've got a lot of injuries. They have a lot of injuries, which is a concern. Out of Today's game, no major problems for the Bunnies. Campbell Graham has had a very, very good game, and from reports, he's been considered for Origin as well in the centre or wing role on the right-hand side. So we shall see who gets selected for the Blues and Queensland. There was a lot of players on both sides eligible for selection. It was a scrappy game, but you could see the energy was there. The Panthers had the bye. I think the Panthers needed that. With the start to their season being a bit over the place, I think they need that. They need that week off to focus on things after that 30-all draw against the Cowboys last weekend. I think having the bye is going to help the Panthers reset a little bit. But it's one of those years where anyone can beat anyone. It's a really topsy-turvy season. And if anyone said going into round 12 that the Bulldogs would be the top side in the NRL at this stage of the season, the betting odds on that would be ridiculous, and you could probably retire with your winnings. So there we go. There's the review of round 11 of the 2025 NRL season. Thank you very much for watching. Please place your thoughts in the comments section below. We'll have some more content for you all very, very soon. I will do, obviously, a preview video of round 12, and then we'll look at the NRL ladder after 11 rounds, because I do think this season is really all over the place, and some sides are being very inconsistent. Some sides are doing really, really well, like the Bulldogs, for example, and the Warriors. And other sides are in real trouble, especially the Knights. I think the Knights at the moment are in crisis. I think the Broncos are in trouble as well. They're two sides that I think are massively underperforming. Considering how the Broncos started the season, their form is all over the place at the moment, and we're seeing repeats of previous seasons where at the middle stage of the season they just fall apart. So there we go. Thank you very much for watching. Place your thoughts, as I say, in the comments section below, and I will have some more content for you all very, very soon.